Hi guys, so Nadhim Zahawi, the Education Secretary, was rolled out to defend Boris Johnson and distract the public from the blatant Tory hypocrisy over the breaking of rules. I've said before, you need to listen carefully to how government ministers respond to this. They focus on one party alone, when there is information coming out almost on a weekly basis of other events where Boris Johnson was either in attendance or staff had organised the event themselves. The public are angry, and the party is really taking the mickey at this stage.
Well, they've got lies written all over their constituency offices.
And as I said to you, that is not the anger, and the level of hurt is not lost on me or my family or anyone else. So I absolutely share that. All I would say is, we have to allow the investigation to take place. Why? Because that's the fair thing to do. You don't condemn a man without a thorough investigation. I think Sue Gray will conduct that.
Okay, so he's talking about a thorough investigation here. And my fear, and I hope I'm wrong, but my fear is that Sue Gray, who's leading this investigation, will focus on one party. That event in the garden where Boris Johnson claims to have spent 25 minutes and he, through a lack of judgment, didn't tell people to go home and didn't tell people to go back inside. He claims it was a work event, even though we've seen glasses of wine on the table, we've seen cheese, we didn't see any pens or paper, we didn't see any whiteboards, we didn't see any tablets or computers, anything like that. And my fear is that Sue Gray is going to come back after investigating just one event and claim that, yes, the Prime Minister made some mistakes, the Prime Minister should have sent people home, he should have shut this thing down, but it was because it was in the garden, perhaps he didn't break any rules or something like that. And then Boris Johnson is going to do a victory lap, claiming that everything is fine, there's nothing to worry about, see, I've been vindicated, and let's move on.
And we'll report that.
She's the most famous woman in Britain at the moment, isn't she? Everybody's saying her name. What about this? This was obviously a cartoon in the Evening Standard reflecting on Her Majesty sitting on her own the day after the doors were coming off Number 10, people breaking swings, taking a suitcase to get booze, having a DJ in the basement. Come on.
And that is one of the most, the photographic image was one of the most painful images, I think.
How is it painful if you're not asking for the people responsible to resign? If it was truly painful for him, then he would be demanding that Boris Johnson resign. But he's not doing that. He's there to defend Boris Johnson. He's there to defend this. Don't claim that it was painful and say, look, it was extremely painful, but, we need to let this thing run its course. We know Boris Johnson, and I hope, as I said, I hope I'm wrong, but I have a strong feeling Boris Johnson is going to get off in some way, some technicality. The Sue Gray will say, look, it wasn't the right thing to do, but I'm not judge and jury here. I can't decide what happens to the Prime Minister. But stop pretending to be hurt. If you were truly hurt, you would be the first demanding the Prime Minister resign.
That will endure with all of us, with the nation.
But
for anyone who's lost loved ones, as
the nation's mocking
families
you.
have done up and down the country. I can absolutely say to you that the Prime Minister feels the pain.
Of course he doesn't feel the pain. Boris Johnson doesn't give a crap about anyone but himself. Look, he went into hospital. He came out of hospital. His life was saved by the NHS. And I've said on numerous occasions, any ordinary human being would have been thankful for that. Would have said, I'm here now to protect the NHS. I'm going to invest in the NHS. I'm going to put politics aside. I'm going to make sure the people who saved my life, the NHS that saved my life, are going to be protected. They're going to get whatever they need to deal with this pandemic. And he did the opposite. With policies, he threw the NHS under a bus on a number of occasions. He started listening to wackos within his own party over SAGE. look, you can't say that Boris Johnson is hurt. Boris Johnson feels people's pain. He doesn't give a crap.
Which is why he came to Parliament, delivered an apology, said that
He went into
all
the
he
tea
asks.
rooms afterwards and say, I shouldn't really have apologised, but sometimes you just got to do it.
Well, that's hearsay in reporting. That's not true. That's not the Prime Minister that I've spoken to.
So what she was talking about here is how after Boris Johnson issued his apology, if anyone truly believes it was an apology, he went into the tea room in the House of Commons after and told people, I didn't really mean it. You know, and it's interesting that Zahawi hasn't, denied. He's just said, "Oh, that's not the Prime Minister I know." Well, obviously Zahawi was not there then, because if he had said, "Look, if he had been there, he'd say, no, Boris Johnson did not do this. I'm denying that he did it. This is completely false." But he's not saying that. He's saying that's not the Prime Minister I know. Well, the Prime Minister I know does not give a crap about the public. He doesn't give a crap about anyone but himself. And he's demonstrated that over the last number of years. So you can't say that it's impossible that he would say such a thing. This is typical of Boris Johnson. Now, do I have evidence that he said this? No, I don't. But it's not outside his character to suggest for him to act in this way. To say one thing one day and something else the next day. Or in the case of this, where he's in the tea room, to say one thing at 1 hour and another thing at another hour. But we have seen evidence of Boris Johnson after his apology calling, under his breath, calling a Labour MP who was criticising him a muppet or something like that. Boris Johnson apologised because he had to save his career, not because he actually is sorry. He's never sorry. He's never apologised about anything in any real way. He's damaged people's lives. He's undermined his own government's attempts to deal with this pandemic. And he doesn't give a crap. Just stop pretending. Just be honest for a change. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.